Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. I'm the host of this podcast, Lane Frank. We're now at episode 177. It's 177 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. We're coming down to the end of the Olympics, entering the last week. MLB playoff race is heating up even more. We got so much going on in the NFL with preseason, and I got a great episode 177 wrap up our summer on Schoolyard Sports coming your way. Now, let's start off episode 177, how we always do, with the headlines in the NBA. Again, not too much news in the NBA, but we do have the Olympics semifinals set for basketball. Now, before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about the 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics. Big dilemma this week, 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics, because Team USA could not qualify even for the semifinal round, couldn't win the championship, couldn't get a medal this year at the Olympics in the 3-on-3, led by Jimmer Fredette. Now, there's some NBA players who were left off Team USA that I would love to see play on 3-on-3. Look at Jaylen Brown. Look at John Morant. Look at Kyrie Irving. These guys would be great to play on 3-on-3, but did hear that there are a lot of requirements that FIBA makes players go through to play in the 3-on-3 tournament, which is a bit ridiculous in the Olympics. I think it'd be awesome to see some NBA stars in 3-on-3, but I think FIBA established the 3-on-3 to make it easier for countries that can't field full 5 starting lineup teams to have these 3-on-3 teams, so they make it harder for, say, a Team USA to bring in all these illustrious NBA stars to play in that 3-on-3. But now, the real 5-on-5, we have our semifinals set. Germany is into their first Olympic semifinal. Serbia, led by Nikola Jokic, is into the Olympic semifinal. Team USA, let's get that gold again, into the Olympic semifinal. And to wrap up our semifinal is France after they beat Canada, and really a dominant performance by France. Even though they haven't been playing so great this tournament, they played really well on Tuesday, getting that win over Canada. This is going to be a great semifinal for Olympics in basketball. Let's move things over to the NFL. We have preseason going, and we have one massive trade request. Brandon Ayuk, this trade request has been going on for months, and it might finally be coming to an end, and he might finally be on a new team. Might be the Patriots, could be the Browns, could be the Jaguars, could be the Steelers, could be the Commanders. I think that's a team maybe Jane Daniels wants him to go to. Obviously, Jane Daniels, quarterback of the Commanders. Jane Daniels was Brandon Ayuk's college quarterback for one season, and they had a really great duo going together. Brandon Ayuk to Commanders, look for that combo right there. I think Dan Quinn, a guy who wants to win now, hates the word rebuild, won't even say it. Brandon Ayuk is someone great who you can build up in that locker room. He's a great receiver. He's the full package. He can block for you. He can catch for you. He can do everything for you. Heck, he can even run the ball for you. Brandon Ayuk could be amazing in that Commander system, but requesting a trade, let's see how that goes. One last thing in the NFL. My former Michigan Wolverines head coach, and it still hurts me to say that, Jim Harbaugh, has things going in LA with the Chargers, but he still has that looming scandal over his head. Harbaugh made some comments that said, I didn't know what was going on there. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. In my opinion, Jim Harbaugh said, not my problem anymore, deal with it. Was this an operation run by Jim Harbaugh? I still think no. Will Jim Harbaugh face punishment? Absolutely not, because he's in the NFL now. Will this hurt Michigan coaches in the future? Absolutely, including head coach Sherrone Moore. 7 assistant coaches were named in that document that said the Michigan Wolverines violated everything that the NCAA basically stands for in the laws of cheating. I believe Sherrone Moore was one of those assistants, unfortunately. I also believe current Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald is one of those assistants. I believe Jesse Minter, current Chargers defense coordinator, was one of those assistants. Steve Klingscale, current Chargers defensive backs coach, was listed in that document. A lot of these assistant coaches left Michigan, and they're in the NFL now. The one that didn't leave is current head coach Sherrone Moore, and that scares me right there. But enough of the NFL. We got some MLB stuff going on. The White Sox still have not won a game since the All-Star break. 21-game losing streak. It's an embarrassment. We're going to talk about them later in the episode, but it's an absolute embarrassment for how the White Sox have been this year. Jackson Holliday, former first overall pick, had a rough start to his MLB career back in April, and since getting called back up in late July, has absolutely been raking. Hit a grand slam. I think he's the youngest player in Orioles history to hit a grand slam, and he's been raking ever since. This is the guy the Orioles thought they were getting. This is the guy Jackson Holliday is supposed to play like, and he's doing it. Called him up maybe a few months too soon. I love the way they handled it after demoting him, then bringing him back up. Jackson Holliday on fire since getting called back up to the Baltimore Orioles. My New York Mets, now, obviously they were on a big fire streak, and then they caught a little bit of a skid on their West Coast trip. Let's see if they can bring things back up. Mets news, Shohei Ohtani, his 34th home run the other night. Shohei Ohtani is still one of the best players in the game. Obviously, we love to talk about him here. I'm excited to see what he can do as a pitcher next year, even if he'll still want to pitch in his career, because Ohtani undoubtedly is a top hitter in the game. Will he want to continue being a top hitter in the game, only working on his hitting, or will he maybe try to go back to a little bit of half and half pitching and hitting? If I'm Ohtani, I think I'm going to try to go for just hitting, be the greatest hitter of all time, because he still can do that. He still has the potential to put up insane hitting stats. If he pitches and hits, I think his career longevity goes down a big dip, in my opinion. But that's about for news in the MLB. Let's move to the Olympics, which has really been the summer classic this year. Olympics always are. Simone Biles has had a really great Olympic showing. Obviously, she won the team event, won a few other events, struggling with some other ones. Career coming to an end for Simone Biles, but maybe the greatest gymnast of all time. Leave your thoughts on that in the comments. We have a great swimmer out of France who might be taking the crown in a few years from Michael Phelps. Leon Marchand has been great out of France. Almost broke the world record in the swimming race. Broke the Olympic record, absolutely on fire. Sharing the same coach as Michael Phelps did throughout his career. Very great future ahead of him. Another guy with a great future ahead of him, Noah Lyles. Can he be the fastest man of all time one day? He's the fastest man in the world right now after winning that massive race. Now Noah Lyles is the guy who loves to infuriate everybody on the internet, including his fellow Americans, Team USA, saying, world champions of what? Well, USA, maybe they can be the world champions. He say he doesn't like it when NBA teams call themselves world champions. KD doesn't like him. I don't think LeBron likes Noah Lyles. So they all show up to his race. This probably watch him lose, hating on a fellow American's downfall. Noah Lyles shut out all that hate, won his race, and is the fastest man alive. Congratulations to Noah Lyles. And to wrap out our headlines, Novak Djokovic won the Olympic final over Carlos Alcaraz, avenging his horrible loss to him at Wimbledon, losing in straight sets. Novak Djokovic takes down Carlos Alcaraz in straight sets in the Olympics, completing tennis once and for all, finally winning the Olympics, the one tournament that he could not win in his career, the one tournament that Federer could not win. Novak Djokovic joins an elite club of Golden Slam winners now. Joins Andre Agassi, joins Serena Williams, Rafael Nadal, and a few others who have won every single Grand Slam in the Olympics throughout their career. That's part of the headlines this week. Still more to come. Schoolyard Sports Laneferg, episode 177. Now, take of the week. Not too many take of the weeks left, honestly. We end it when football season starts and we do Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. Excited for that. So if you hate hearing my takes, hate hearing me bring up amazing hot takes that I think I'm always right about, and you hate to hear them, okay, you don't have to hear them much longer after these next few episodes. But I do have a big one today. The Olympics flat out are not appealing. Not appealing at all, in my opinion. Not as appealing as they should be. Tell me, how many times this year have you sat down and watched the Olympics and said, ooh, can't wait to watch the Simone Biles gymnastics match. It sounds great, but then you can't find it. Then you can't do this. It's like, oh, discus, that's great. Can't find it, can't do this. Track, oh, I want to watch this massive race. When is it on? When is it this? When is it that? I get the argument that says, okay, maybe it's better to watch it in Europe because the Olympics this year are in Europe, the time change, and when it's in 2028 in LA, it'll be so much better. I care to disagree. The Olympics are overpopulated. They're not at the highest level anymore, and they're flat out not appealing. The way to fix that could be maybe eliminate the sports where Olympics aren't the highest level. Basketball? You think LeBron James wants another championship more than he wants another Olympic gold medal? You think in the GOAT debate, they're going to say, well, LeBron had more gold medals than Michael Jordan? No, they're not going to say that. You think when Scottie Scheffler's career is done, they're going to say, oh, he won this many gold medals over this many Masters. I think Scottie Scheffler would win a Masters in a heartbeat than he would taking over a gold medal. Now, he's done both in the past calendar year, which is great. But I think the Olympic gold medal is a little bit just icing on the cake. Same for Novak Djokovic. And icing on the cake for a great career. Now, for someone like Noah Lyles, this is his life. He trains 4 years to do one race. Usain Bolt, that was his life. Nobody knows who Usain Bolt is if he trips after 4 years of Olympic training. Because nobody's going to watch Usain Bolt race outside of the Olympics. Just like nobody watches Noah Lyles race outside of the Olympics. Just like nobody knows if there's even a gymnastics league outside of the Olympics to watch Simone Biles. There might be. I might be infecting somebody with that. I don't really care. Olympics are tough to watch because it's overpopulated. I'd love to have just those sports. Just the sports where it's the highest level. Discus, highest level. Boxing, not the highest level. Why is boxing in the Olympics? There can't even be pro boxers. You have to be an amateur to be boxing in the Olympics. Makes no sense to me at all. Flag football is joining the Olympics 2028. Will that be interesting? No. We all know Team USA is going to run away with it. We all know Tyreek Hill is going to make some joke of it. Travis Hunter will probably be playing it by then. It's going to be a great event to watch at times, but then it's going to fall off after one Olympics. I mean, Winter Olympics are actually more appealing to watch now than the Summer Olympics. They're at a better time. Not everybody has time in the summer. Just sit down and watch the Olympics all day. In the winter, it's like, okay, let's sit down, let's watch this. Let's watch ice skating. Let's watch snowboarding, because I don't know who these people are, but these are the highest level. I'm not so interested in watching, let's say, Olympic basketball, and it's also hard to watch Olympic basketball because you don't know the times, you don't know this. Had someone tell me today, I didn't even know the game was on until the starting lineup got announced. I agree with them. USA playing Team Brazil, not so appealing to me. Again, Olympics are not as appealing as they should be. It should be the main sports in the Olympics where it's the highest level. Swimming. Does Michael Phelps swim outside of the Olympics throughout his entire career? Did he? No. It's all just training. There's no league. Trained 4 years for this one event. That's what I love to see in the Olympics. Might be heartbreaking, might be amazing, but that's what Olympics is and should be. I love it when there's emotion when somebody wins a gold medal in the Olympics. Jason Tatum wins an Olympic gold medal. It's like, that's cool. Let's add that to the trophy chest. I'm an Olympic gold medalist for being a small part of a team that they knew was going to win from the jump. It's my take of the week. You might not like it. You might love it. Leave your thoughts on that in the comments. My take of the week. The Olympics are not as appealing as they should be. It needs to change soon. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 players in college football for this season. Now, last year, I'd like to think I nailed my top 5 list. I had some great guys in there. Now, Harold Perkins in my top 5 last year might have been a bit of a miss. I didn't have Caleb Williams number 1. I had J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum near the top. Caleb Williams a little bit lower in that top 5, and I think you nailed that perfectly. JJ and Blake Corum won national championship. Caleb Williams is coming off the Heisman, had a little bit of a disruptful junior season in college football. But this year, my top 5 is bigger and better than ever. Something I love to see each year is the freak list that comes out by Bruce Feldman each year. Well, this is the Schoolyard Sports top 5 players in college football. Not the freak list, but I recommend you go checking that out. Really gets you hyped for college football this season. College football, let's hop into it. My top 5 players in the nation. Let's go. Number 5, EA Sports College Football 25 cover athlete Travis Hunter. Can play both ends in the, I think, disruptful Colorado football program that should be ending soon. I don't know how much longer Deion Sanders has there, whether he gets forced out, or something else happens with Deion Sanders, whether he has to leave, resign, gets fired. I don't think this program's going anywhere in the next few years, but Travis Hunter certainly is. He's one of the best players in college football, playing receiver and cornerback. Boom. Travis Hunter, number 5. Now, number 4, someone that not many people may know, it's Kenneth Grant from Michigan, who's going to be a top 5 pick in April in the NFL draft. I could also put Mason Graham here. These two are basically 2 peas in a pod. They're the exact same type of player, but Kenny Grant's a little bit more of a freak. Bigger size, faster player, can get to the ball. There's videos of Kenny Grant just chasing down a guy 30 yards down the field. Running back gets past the defensive line, doesn't matter. Kenny Grant is chasing them. Kenny Grant can get sacks, he can disrupt the run game, and he's a freak in college football. Number 4, Kenneth Grant. Number 3, I think a lot of people like to hate on this guy. I kind of like his game a little bit more than some other people. Jalen Milroe. I'm a big Jalen Milroe former hater. I've come around on the guy. I think Jalen Milroe is a very good leader. That shows to me when he stays when Nick Saban leaves. Jalen Milroe has a great arm. Not a lot of people like to say it, but he is a fantastic throwing arm. Not the greatest accuracy, always not the greatest decision-making. That stuff can get sorted out in a year, which might have happened over the course of last season and this offseason, heading into this season. Jalen Milroe is a really good passer, in my opinion, at his size. Also, at his size, which I think is 6'4", above 220 pounds, he's the fastest quarterback in college football, one of the fastest quarterbacks I've ever seen on a football field. Combine all that together, I think you get a Heisman finalist this year. Jalen Milroe, who I think is the best quarterback in college football. 3, Jalen Milroe. Number 2, his rival out of LSU, Will Campbell. Not a lot of people know Will Campbell either, but here let me bring up a thing about Will Campbell. Every year, LSU has their best player wear number 7. Usually it's a wide receiver, defensive back. Jarvis Landry's done it. Derek Stingley's done it. A few other, Jamar Chase has done it. He's going to do it before he opted out. A lot of great guys have done it. Will Campbell, as an offensive lineman, was awarded number 7 last year. Now, due to NCAA rules, he couldn't wear it in game, but Brian Kelly just gave him that honor, saying he's our number 7 this year. If anybody were to wear number 7, it'd be Will Campbell, even though NCAA rules don't let him. He's a great offensive lineman. Again, we might hear his name first in April at the NFL draft. Will Campbell's a great college football player. 2, best linemen in the country, offensive and defensive line. And number 1, I've got another Will on this list, my Michigan guy, Will Johnson. Will Johnson is that X factor for any team in college football that he would be on. He's the leader of that defense. Put on a national championship game. Put on the Alabama game. Now, Will Johnson, you may not hear his name every game because he's that good in coverage to where quarterbacks won't even come close to throwing to him. If you do hear his name in a game, it's because he's getting an interception or he's making a big play. Will Johnson has rarely made a mistake in his 3 years at Michigan, has been an incredible player. Best player in college football this year is Will Johnson, who might just be the best overall prospect in college football going to this year's NFL draft, what it might be in April, if Will Johnson does decide to declare. A DB won't go number 1 in the draft, but he's certainly the top prospect. Will Johnson is the best player in college football this year, and that's about my top 5 list. Now, did you know, this week's Did You Know is, did you know Paul George is the only player left from 2010 NBA draft class? No other players are left, except for Paul George from the 2010 NBA draft class. 14 years removed, Paul George is the only one left in NBA. Didn't know that? Leave that in the comments. That's probably didn't know this week. Now, Schoolyard Sports Scream, and I got a big scream this week, and it's going to be thoughtful. Let's hop into it. So, this week I'm screaming on NFL teams who like to start their first-round quarterbacks too early in their career. Now, I want to hear people saying in the comments, oh, Lane, what about CJ Stroud? What about this guy? What about Andrew Luck, who had a great rookie season? What about this guy? Where's Andrew Luck? Nowhere. Not many quarterbacks play great in their rookie season. If they do, they don't have great careers. Always. CJ Stroud had a great rookie season. He's a dime a dozen. I don't want to hear about the CJ Stroud example because I can tell you so many other examples of guys who started as rookies and are terrible now. So let's break it down. This year's first-round quarterbacks were who? Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix. Caleb Williams is going to start from day 1. His backups are nobody's pretty much. Tyson Badgett and Brett Ripien. I'm not going to say that those guys have any contention for starting with Caleb Williams. He's out of the ordinary. Caleb Williams, he could have started on an NFL team his freshman year in college. No joke. For other guys in this draft class, it's a little bit different. Jane Daniels is going to be the day 1 starter, it looks like, in Washington. But who's his backup? His backup is Marcus Mariota. Something Marcus Mariota and Jane Daniels have in common is they're both number 2 overall pick. They both come from high-powered college ball offenses where they were big running quarterbacks. And they both start early in their rookie seasons, and one of them's a backup now, and one of them's a starter. 5 years from now, it could be the same exact situation where you have, new NFL draft quarterback gets picked 1st overall, Arch Manning, number 1 overall. His backup is Jaden Daniels. It wouldn't shock me. Don't start Jaden Daniels too early. Look at the example of your backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota. Another quarterback in this draft class, Drake May. Drake May's probably going to start from day 1. If he doesn't, it'll be Jacoby Brissett, who maybe played a little too much in his rookie season. Another first-round pick in this draft class, J.J. McCarthy. Rumors are J.J. McCarthy, who I love as a quarterback in this draft class, might be getting that day 1 start. Well, who's JJ's backup? If it isn't JJ, it's Sam Darnold. What do JJ McCarthy and Sam Darnold have in common? They're both first-round picks who probably are going to start on day 1. Sam Darnold started on day 1 his rookie year. Where is Sam Darnold now? A backup to JJ McCarthy. If JJ McCarthy starts on day 1, he could be a backup in 5 years, just like Sam Darnold is. It's a joke. Bo Nix, next quarterback in that draft class, out of these 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. 12th overall pick. Where's Bo Nix? He can probably start on day 1. There's reports that Sean Payton loves him. He's the next Drew Brees. Who's Bo Nix's backup? Zach Wilson. What do Bo Nix and Zach Wilson have in common, like all these other guys that I've mentioned? Well, Zach Wilson started on day 1. Now he's a backup. It's a trend. The guys who start on day 1 are going to be backups in their career. Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, Baker Mayfield was a backup for a few years before he finally landed on his foot in Tampa Bay. Bryce Young wouldn't shock me in 3 years if he's a backup. Backups. Now, do you start these guys that are busts? I don't know. Because they're busts. Maybe you need a better veteran quarterback. What has ever shown you that Marcus Mariota is a good NFL serviceable quarterback in the past 5 years? Yeah, he's won a playoff game. Okay. Wasn't a good team. Marcus Mariota wasn't the leader of that team necessarily. Kind of got lucky winning that playoff game. Jacoby Brissett, what has he done the past 5 years to show you that he's a serviceable quarterback? He hasn't been relevant since 2019 when Philip Rivers came and took his job in 2020. Sam Darnold, what has he shown you in the past career that he's a serviceable NFL quarterback? Nothing. Zach Wilson, same exact thing. These teams need better backup quarterbacks to prove to these rookie quarterbacks, No need to start on day one. Michael Penix Jr. looks great coming out of Atlanta camp. They say, that's great. Let's sit him for a few years. And let's play Kirk Cousins. Jordan Love looked terrible his first year in Green Bay. They said, he's struggling, it's and that. Imagine if Jordan Love had to start year one in Green Bay. He'd be serving burgers right now. Now he's the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. Highest paid player in NFL history because he got to wait behind Aaron Rodgers. Not saying you need Aaron Rodgers, just saying you need someone serviceable. That's my Schoolyard Sports Scream. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, around the bases. I got a great around the bases for you. We're going to go around the bases in MLB, and I'm going to give you my MLB hot takes heading into the month of July, and I got some big ones on here. First one on my MLB hot takes for around the bases this week, entering July, is let's end the MLB regular season now for future years. It's a joke that we go past August for the regular season, that we go into September and we go into October. I'm in full football mode by then. You get me from March to August. Now I'm locked in on the MLB. I will watch every single Mets game. After that, I'm checking who Michigan's starting this week, who Michigan's starting at quarterback, who Michigan's playing, who the number one passer in college football was last week, who am I going to start for fantasy. I could care less about baseball past August. Now, if you get playoffs in September, okay, maybe I'll care about it. It's too late to have the playoffs in November and October. I love watching baseball on Halloween. I'm willing to sacrifice that World Series matchup on Halloween to end them will be regular season in August. Now, I know the thing, we have to get rid of 162 games. That ruins tradition. No, we don't. Let's just move the season up to maybe February. We really need spring training that much? Have winter training in January. It's still warm in Florida. It's still warm in Arizona. Doesn't matter. MLB players wouldn't care that much. If we had an off-season from, say, season ends, let's call it middle to end of September, you get an off-season from October to January. It's a pretty good off-season. Right now, the off-season is about December until February, March. That's when catchers and pitchers start to report to spring training. It's okay, but I want the MLB regular season end in August, and I think it should end in August. Because right now, MLB, it's like, all right, dying down a little bit. Now, if you get me to playoff mode, it's better, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. Now, another MLB hot take that correlates to this season, the White Sox won't reach 40 wins. They're currently sitting at 27-88, and you got to get 162 games, but I don't really see them winning 13 games in their past however many games they have left. It's a joke what this franchise has become. The Tony La Russa days somehow seem better than what they are right now with Pedro Grifo. It's a joke, this franchise. Why didn't they trade Garrett Crochet at the deadline? A guy who really isn't that great of a starting pitcher, a guy who I think is still a reliever. I'm not the MLB expert here, or maybe I am. White Sox, they clearly don't know what they're doing. They won't reach 40 wins this season. And the tough part is, there's an MLB draft lottery now, which I'm still opposed to. They're not going to get this number one pick. Mark my words, when it comes to those winter meetings, they don't get this number one overall pick. Someone else gets that number one overall pick. Next one, the Mets catch up to Philadelphia in Atlanta before season's end. Currently, the Philadelphia Phillies have about 67 wins, while the Mets are close to 60 wins. I think there's a chance. The Mets play Phillies 6 times towards the end of the year. The Mets can catch up to not just Atlanta, they can catch up to Philadelphia too and win this whole entire division. Francisco Lindor is playing out of his mind. Pete Alonso doesn't have to worry about trade talks anymore. Pitching is coming around a little bit, even though some injuries. Watch the Mets catch up to Philadelphia, Atlanta. Mark my words, it will happen. That's our hot take. Another one, Bobby Witt Jr. and Aaron Judge should be co-MVPs. I said this back in 2022 when Judge and Ohtani had great seasons, should have been co-MVPs. Bobby Witt Jr. is having an incredible MVP year. It would be an MVP in really 9 times out of 10 in any other season. Bobby Witt Jr. is having a great year, but so is Aaron Judge. Let's make them co-AL MVPs. It's my prediction right there that they should be, my hot take, they should be co-AL MVPs. And my last hot take, and this is a big one, the Yankees finally don't break down this season. It's always around this time when they break down. Let's look at 2022 season. I mean, they're having a great year. They were the best team in MLB heading to All-Star break. Then trade deadline happens, then August happens, they're on a massive losing streak, and Aaron Boone doesn't know what to say at the press conference. Now it's like, okay, they've won 7 out of their last 10. They're rolling. I think this is the time. Fell off for a little bit towards the end of July, not getting back on the wagon. Yankees, it's finally the year they don't collapse. It's going to happen, everybody. They don't collapse this year. Watch it happen where it doesn't happen. That's what I'm trying to say. Yankees run into the playoffs on a high this year, not low, and they get things done. Taking care of business, close out the regular season. New York Yankees do that, in my opinion. And that's about for Around the Base this week. My August MLB hot takes. Now I'm going to bring back a segment I haven't done in a very long time. But I'm going to bring it back only for this sport right now. College football, this or that, everybody. If you don't know what this or that is, I'm giving off 2 things. And I'm going to say, am I going to pick this thing or that thing? let's hop into it. First thing, and it's a bit wacky for one. Who would I rather hire as a head coach? Start my college football program. I'm running an EA College Football 25 Team Builder Dynasty. I'm a fully new program. Which coach am I going to hire? Am I going to hire one of these two guys, Mel Tucker or Jimbo Fisher? Now, both these guys have a lot of controversy around them, but only one of them's a national championship winning head coach. Mel Tucker has done a great job winning SEC championships as defense coordinator, but his scandals around him now was fired after having one of the biggest contracts in college football history as a head coach, getting fired shortly after. Jimbo Fisher has a very good thing in common with him. Same situation, massive contract, ending it pretty soon. I would rather have Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher has still won national championship. Let's not disrespect Jimbo too much here on this show. Jimbo Fisher would definitely take over Mel Tucker, starter college football program. Now, a new one right here might be a little bit interesting. There's 3 new teams in the ACC this year. SMU, Cal, and Stanford. So who do I think will have the best season in the ACC this year? SMU, or maybe Cal and Stanford has won that? This or that? I say SMU. I think SMU, call me crazy, has a shot to win the whole entire conference. Rhett Lashley is building up some amazing things down at SMU. They were very close to making it in your 6 bowl last year. Preston Stone is back at quarterback. He was hurt last year in the AAC championship game. I think he broke his collarbone or broke his fibula, something, right before that game, which prompted them not play well in that game, not play well in their bowl game, ending their season on a slow note. I think this year, great stuff coming back for SMU. They have a chance to win the whole conference. I'm going to take SMU to be the best new team in the ACC this year. Georgia or the field in the ACC. So is it just Georgia, or do I take everybody else to have a chance to win the SEC? I'm going to go with the field. Here's why. Georgia, obviously, is built on big boys, big athletes, big guys. They don't always have the big playmakers. Now, this year, they have Trevor Etienne, brother of Travis Etienne, transferring from Florida. At the wide receiver position, it's really just going downhill. Oscar Delp is going to be their tight end, but Oscar Delp is no Brock Bowers. No more Ladd McConkey. No more Rara Thomas. I'm not even going to explain that situation. Just go look it up. But as of last week, Rara Thomas is no longer part of his Georgia football program after being a key piece for those 2 national championship games. So am I going to take Georgia or the field to win the SEC? There are so many other great teams in the SEC. I don't think Georgia can withstand the gauntlet that this SEC might be. I can see a down year for Georgia. I can see Georgia losing to Florida. I can see Georgia losing to Texas and maybe the SEC championship. I can see Georgia losing to a lot of teams this year. Carson Beck isn't some God-sent quarterback, in my opinion. I don't love Carson Beck's game at all. Georgia didn't win the championship last year, didn't even make the playoff. They say they're angry. Let's let their players show it. They don't have many playmakers this year. I'm taking the field over Georgia this year. Now, 2 guys that I'm going to highlight on there are the 2 most underrated quarterbacks in college football, and their teams are very underrated. Kyron Drones of Virginia Tech or Garrett Green of West Virginia. Both quarterbacks had great years last year and really going under the radar. Garrett Green got West Virginia to a 9-win season, which really went under the radar. West Virginia getting 9 wins, and all their losses was pretty close, in my opinion. Really some bad losses mixed in there, but they were close losses, and they could have been a playoff contender if they won those games. Garrett Green can help this team win the Big 12, and then for Kyron Drones in the ACC, they're going to be a good team, Virginia Tech, this year. It just depends on how Kyron Drones plays, but I think Garrett Green is a Heisman candidate this year. No joke. Watch out for Garrett Green over Kyron Drones. Both quarterbacks very underrated, but I'm going to go with that Garrett Green in this or that this week. Kyron Drones or Garrett Green, I'm going to go with Garrett Green. And to finish it out, the 2 new quarterbacks in the Big Ten, both transfers, the gunslinger, Dylan Gabriel of Oregon, or the more traditional, speedy quarterback, and Will Howard. Will Howard can sling it. He can also run it. Is he so accurate? Not so sure. Dylan Gabriel is going to bring a style to the Big Ten that Big Ten has never seen. A gunslinger. A fast-working team. Oregon is a fast-working team. Usually fast-working Big Ten teams. Let's bring up, say, 2019 Ohio State. They had a good defense, and they had really good offensive line and really good defensive line. I can't confidently say Oregon has a good offensive line or defensive line, so I'm not so sure how the gunslinger, Dylan Gabriel, is going to do against a team like Penn State, against a team like Michigan, against even a decent Big Ten team. Let's go with Wisconsin. It's going to be tricky. I say Will Howard has a better first year in the Big Ten because he's more of a traditional Big Ten quarterback. Also did hear the other day that Will Howard ramped to 22 miles an hour as a quarterback in the Ohio State facility, Woody Hayes facility, which I hate to say as a Michigan fan, diehard Michigan fan, but I think Will Howard has a better year than Dylan Gabriel. And that'll wrap out this or that this week for college football. Now, question day. This week's question is, should star NFL players play in the preseason? Now, we've seen some freak preseason injuries in the past. Freak injuries is the key word. They're not that common. So I think star players should play in the preseason at least a little bit. One drive. Give me one drive. Doesn't always happen. Isn't going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. Isn't going to happen with Kyler Murray, a few other guys. Usually doesn't happen with the star players, but can it happen? I think it should happen. I don't think it will, but it should happen. Here's why. Nothing can simulate for someone like that. I'm an athlete. I play tennis. I can play as many practice matches as I want. When you get into that real environment, real setting, it's different. For an NFL player, they can take as many reps they want as training camp. They can look in the sideline as much as they want in that stadium. But until you're actually running out in that field, hearing the fans chant your name, getting ready, lining up against that defense that isn't in practice with you, just saying some funny things, they're actually ready there to kill you on that field, even if it's preseason. That's what wakes you up. That's what gets you ready for an NFL season. So I think NFL star players should play in the preseason, even just a little teensy bit. That's my question today. That's SYS Sports and Lane Frank, episode 177. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. We'll be back here next week, episode 178. Stay tuned.